Okay, so we'll start by looking at the student view of the Canvas page here. All right. I'll try and be about as, y'all ask lots of questions if you have them. Okay. So there's a note page here. If you look at this note page, I actually have it open already. All right. It looks like this. The last 3 class meetings. Okay, so that's this week. So my original plan was to try and do 2 free response questions, but you all are going to have a chance to decide. Okay, so I put these 2 free response questions up there because of one reason. Game Spinner and Spinner Game, they sound like the same thing, but they're really 2 different problems. Okay, and these are 2 of the 25 questions that you all have to actually answer as part of the prepared quiz. Does that make sense? So if you all are talkative and y'all ask a question, I'll walk through any of these problems. Does that make sense? The goal is not to stump you or to find out what you don't know. It is to try and help you identify things that you can improve on and give you a week to practice on them. Yes, sir.
For the MyAP, are we able to close and open it, or if we open it, we have to finish it once?
That's a good question. We actually tested that yesterday in class, and we will test that again today in class. When we go to MyAP, everyone's going to look at the quiz, and we're going to do a problem together, and you all are going to decide which problem we're going to do together, okay? And we're going to make sure we get in and get out, and make sure that you all have the ability to continuously work on this thing for a whole week, okay? Good question. All right, so yes, everything that's assigned here is going to be due. Hey, we're going to even vote on this day. I'm going to change this day and make it appropriate for your class. Does that make sense? The due date. Okay, but this is what we're going to see when we get to this website and we look at those problems. There are 25 problems. There are 5 free response questions, and there are 20 multiple choice questions. In a normal year, the actual end of course exam for AP Computer Science has 4 free response questions and 40 multiple choice questions. Okay? So this is designed for us to work together on. Are y'all understanding? There are more free response questions than you would normally be responsible for. So I wanted to give you all, rather than giving you all a bunch of things, I combined everything into one massive assignment. Does that make sense? 45 of the 80 points, okay? What is that? I'm sorry. I broke it down. 45 of the 65 points, right, for the MyAP Canvas, okay? I'm sorry. Let me say this the right way. I'm going to highlight it. Of the 25 questions at the MyAP site, 5 of them are free response. The free response questions are 9 points each. Everybody got that? 9 points each. So 9 times 5 is 45, plus 1 point for each multiple choice is 20. That's 65 total points right here in MyAP. Just that one, and I started asking myself, hey, this is a little violation of some of the things that I was asking students to do in terms of not getting dumped on. So this is how I expect you all to kind of get that done, is I want to use the class time to help you guys and let you guys work. Hopefully it doesn't become too much of a challenge by the end of the week to get it done if I'm assisting you all in answering questions. Make sense? But it doesn't work if you just sit back and you wait for me to do it. Does that make a little sense, what I just said? You all have to read these problems and make an attempt and get stuck somewhere, okay? So we're going to work on those things, and I'm going to share a little bit more about those problems here in just a moment. But you also have a Canvas quiz that are only 20 multiple choice questions. Y'all got it? So combined there are 80 points. Y'all got it? Next week, when you come, you're only going to earn 20%. So you're gonna earn 80% of the grade this week, and then when you come in and sit down like to do a test, it's gonna be short, and it's something that I am gonna design so that you all complete it in a given amount of time. Make sense? So, what does that really mean when it comes to the free response questions? Now pay attention, okay? The free response questions that we have worked on all school year, each of these problems, okay? And these additional algorithms or, okay, any of the stuff that we're gonna talk about in the next couple of days, okay? All of these things, I'm gonna probably ask you all to do test classes. So instead of rewriting or looking at a problem and sitting there in 30 minutes trying to do a whole free response question, I'm going to count on the fact that you all have completed all of these problems and you understand them. And then I'm going to ask you all to design some tests and make sure that you all call each of the methods and call each of the constructors and so forth and so on and design a test to make sure that the program code works as expected. Does that make a little sense? Okay, and we'll practice all of these things this week when we're actually walking through these other problems. So this, I've attempted. So y'all let me know if it's not the clearest thing about what's going to happen here. Okay. So those are those two problems. Okay, and the 5 problems that you all see that are free response, we're going to work on at least one of them today. Again, game spinner and spinner game are 2 different problems. I just didn't want them to be confused. On Wednesday, I had a little practice here for people who may not, that's just for us to practice together. And I like doing things at the practice site because it gives you the feedback when your program doesn't work. I'm asking all of these things to be due. I need all of these things to be done before Monday next week. Does everybody get that? I'm not going to be here on Thursday. Okay? So, the point is that if you all don't have access to me on Thursday during the tutorial, I still want to give you all access to me given a different day. So I'm thinking not the end of this week, but the end of next week. That's the bigger deadline. Does everybody get that? But I need to have, in order to prevent the dump on you, we need to make sure we use the class time wisely, okay? So how are we going to do that? So check this out. Next week, all of these things are going to be due, right? The yellow part is what I just shared. On the exam day, it's not going to be 30, 40 questions. It's going to be like 11. I think it's going to be 11 questions, okay? And your free response, again, is going to be not an A+ practice site problem. It's going to be what? Test cases for problems that you've already completed. Okay, these are problems that you can ask questions about, that you all need to review. These are simple little algorithms and things that you all should have in your intellectual toolkit. And lastly, these are some exact problems that and algorithms that we've actually done in class. Okay, so I just want to let you guys have an idea of what I expect you all to know. And then when you go over to let's all right now, everybody log into my AP. Let's do it. That's just the first document here. Let's look at my AP. Hey, I'm already logged in. How about that? I would like everybody to go there right now. I don't think I assigned this to you also. It says 2020 Fall Review Quiz.
It says you haven't assigned it.
I have not assigned it, right? So, this is the first little thing we're going to decide right here together. Okay? Y'all like to work on Saturday night and Sunday night? My point is that I can give you all that day. The other class has that day. They have the entire weekend. And I gave them the entire weekend because they missed me on Thursday. So you all are gonna miss me on Thursday too, because at least some of you all come to tutorials, okay? Are y'all with me here? So, I want you all to complete this and at least have the feedback before y'all come in. But next week is gonna be very similar to this week. Does everybody get that? You're gonna come, you're gonna sit down, I'm gonna say go to work, you can ask any question that you like, and we'll work through it. So this deadline needs to be one where you all at least have the same amount of access to me to ask those questions. Your classes are not affected by my absence on Thursday. However, I did extend an extra day for the other class, and I'm gonna do that for you all too. So let's decide. Look at, look, this is what we can do. Just make sure y'all don't take the test. We need to decide though, before we actually determine a due date here. I'm gonna select the class. It should be only period 4 available to select. So today is December 1st. The other class has until the 7th. I can give you to the 8th. You just know that when you all walk in on the 8th, you're gonna get that last little portion of the test. Does that make sense? Hello? And then if I'm not here on Thursday, you all have access to me on Monday. All right.
So it's due that Sunday night?
No, I just said the 8th. This gives you a week to do it.
Oh, okay.
Okay? I wanted it done on the weekend, but you understand that, like, select the current day and time. Okay. I don't think that, look, y'all are already gonna get dumped on, and I know this already. So as long as y'all commit to actually completing it on a clear, I'm doing most of the talking, I see heads nodding. Is this a comfortable deadline for you, considering some of the other work that other teachers have given you?
Yes.
Okay, it gives you additional day to come in and ask me questions also. I'm not gonna answer all the questions. You will definitely be challenged in this process. So I'm not worried about trying to find out what you don't know. Are y'all following me here? I'm gonna give you a chance to do well and to get all of it done and say, oh, this is a part that I'd like to work on and practice on. Okay? And then you know that next week, the assignment is only gonna be 11 multiple choice questions and putting together test cases for work that we've done already this week, or maybe in the past. All right? Y'all see that? Your deadline is next Tuesday, 11:45 for this. Got it? If I click assign, now y'all let's go look at it right now. It's called,
Can you put that on the calendar?
I will. You need a little reminder. It's called 2020 Fall Review Quiz at MyAP.
Do we need to have finished all the assignments in my IP by the midterm?
I'd like to see you get that done. Hey, look, that is going to be another thing. People that still need extra time or want to retake a quiz or something like that, that's going to be something I handle individually. So on that note, if you have, let's just say you wanted to improve your score, okay? There's enough work here that I will actually replace 2 grades for you. So if you were just struggling trying to get things done, get this one done and then you can replace those grades. Okay?
Is it supposed to open the lockdown browser?
Yes, because there are questions. The question was, is it supposed to open in a lockdown browser just because some of the problems there are actually old AP problems. So they want to kind of protect those materials.
The reason I ask is if I close out,
I heard you, but I mean, it sounded like you gave me a good reason.
oh, no.
I understand what you're saying, man.
So does that mean we have to do it
Did he
all
say
in
anything I
one
need to
sitting?
know? I don't think so. What'd you say, brother?
Does that mean you have to do it all in one sitting?
No. Okay? So, on that note, let's practice right now, okay? And this is how we're going to practice. Notice that I have a Canvas fall review quiz, the MyAP fall review quiz. So I'll go out here and I'll adjust these dates so that they show up on the calendar, okay? But look at this last document. Everybody look at this last document. It says fall. This is where we are right now. This is what this document looks like. It says fall 2020 end of semester FRQ rubrics. These are the official grading rubrics that College Board actually provided for each of those problems. They're worth 9 points. I've identified what each one of the 9 points actually, are in each of the problems. Does everybody see that? So I'm going to give you all 3 minutes here to read over this document, and then you all vote or y'all speak up and y'all decide to pick a problem. Okay, and we will work that problem right now in MyAP, and we can just practice a little bit right now. Got it? And we're going to practice making sure that you can get in and get out and come back to this and continue working on this on your own schedule. Read the problems. Which problem do we want to do? Palindrome, spinner games. We've already done step tracker before. Game spinner. And the last one is going to be the guessing game, a hidden word, which we've already done. So y'all need to pick, my advice is to pick one of the 3 problems that we have not done before. We can do one vote for palindrome. And Kaylin, you or Jack, y'all can just chime in, say if you like one, But we have a vote for palindrome. So palindrome it is. I said 3 minutes, didn't I? Read the rubrics. You have them on your machine.
Do game spinner.
One vote for game spinner.
Wait, where is that?
Okay, so Archer is asking where is that? So we have the description of palindrome, right, that tells you these are the things you have to be able. So palindrome, you need to be able to do what? Find an individual character in the string, right? And then you have to be able to iterate. That means you're writing a loop over each character in the what? STR string. Make sense? So this is just defining what you have to do. If you scroll down, you said spinner game or game spinner?
Game spinner.
So if we scroll down to game spinner, Andrew, you can see what game spinner is asking you to do. It looks like you're going to have to do something with instance variables. You're going to have a method called spin and what? Current run. You're going to have to declare a constructor header, it looks like here, right? Then you have a constructor that does something. Then we got a random integer, okay? And then we're going to have to do some comparisons. That sounds like some if statements. We need to update an instance variable appropriately if the spin and the given a condition here. And it looks like we're going to have to return a value. These are just things that when I look at your solution, I can say, hey, does that solution do this or do that? So, Andrew, if you want to go back and look at the formal problem description, those are all over here on MyAP. So when you look at the quiz, which you can do right now, you can also come over and read the problems. And they're the first 5 problems there. So game spinner is the 4th problem. You can come and you can read this problem and you can see. And I'm giving you all a little time right now to hopefully do. Look at the rubric. You can look at the problem statement. You can see what the question is asking you. Then you can see what the grader is looking for. You don't normally get the rubric. But yesterday we did one of these problems and everybody felt pretty good, I felt like, when they left the class, okay? Y'all had a chance to look around a little bit? Did a problem just jump off the page? We've had 1 vote for palindrome, 1 vote for game spinner. So we need some deciding votes. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, Grace.
I vote
Game spinner. How about this? Compromise. I'll do game spinner. That's the deciding vote right now. Anybody else for palindrome or one of the other problems? So we'll do game spinner together right now. And then next class period, I'll walk through palindrome. That leaves you all three additional problems, two of which we've already done before. That means that's one problem out there that you all on your own. I like that. And then you just got to complete the other work. I think, is that a fair deal? Hello? And that gives you all one homework assignment, which is to do what? Try and go home and complete palindrome tonight. I'm writing it down. Everybody, I don't know how you keep up with your homework, but this is not going to go on the calendar. I'm telling you right now, we're going to do palindrome next class period, right? Y'all need to read that problem, be prepared to ask questions and walk through it next class period, okay? Give it a try, and then when you get stuck, you'll have a better question for me, okay? So right now, we're going to look at problem number 4, game spinner. So what I'd like everybody to do is make sure that you document this solution in my AP as we walk through it today. And I can take my time. You should ask as many questions as you need to. All right?
Mr. Duggan,
Yes, sir.
because of the lockdown, guys, I can't see, I couldn't be able to see, what you're doing.
Oh, that's true. I'm recording this, Kaylin, so I'll have a recording for you. If you just want to watch me and not look in your browser, if y'all are in that virtual overflow. That makes sense? I'll have a video for you, and I'll have a video for you, so you can just pay attention without doing a lockdown browser, okay?
All right.
All right. I didn't think about that. I'm just making this a little bit larger so everybody can read it easily. All right. This question involves the creation and use of a spinner to generate random numbers in a game. A game spinner object represents a spinner with a given number of sectors, all equal in size. All right, the game spinner class supports the following behaviors: creating a new spinner with a specified number of sectors. Hey, that sounds like one input, right? An integer input. Stop daydreaming, boy. All right. Spinning a spinner and reporting the result. So I'll spin a spinner and I'll report whatever it tells me, okay? Report the length of the current run. The number of consecutive spins that are the same as the most recent spin. The number of consecutive spins that are the same as the most recent spin. Hey, if this were a test, I'd have to read that phrase a couple times just to make sure. So, in any of your, confusion or questions, or to provide some more clarity, we need to look at the examples. Okay? This looks like, we're going to have a constructor that takes in what? A single integer input. Yes? And we need to do something. So we have at least an instance variable. I'm going to say, call it maybe sectors. Make a little sense here? I'm just walking through this. Current run is a function that takes in what? A method that takes in no parameters and gives me back what? An integer. And it looks like that particular integer says the length of the current run. So it looks like I need to keep track of something called maybe the current run. Hello? Or calculate it some kind of way. And this says the length of the current run is initially 0. That tells me what it gets initialized to, because no spins have occurred. I got to write this function spin. It said returns a random integer between 1 and 4. In this case, does everybody see that the 4 is because we have 4 sectors? If I had 10 sectors, it would be a random number between 1 and 10. Okay? So in this case, in this example, it says spin returns this integer 3. So that looks like that integer, the random number little formula, right? Current run is 1 now because, hey, I've rolled what? Or I've used the spinner and I got a spin of 3. 1. Oh, I'm going to spin again and it gives me 3 again. Oh, right? So then the current run says, oh, you got 3 2 times. Make sense? All right, so I'm going to spin it again and it gives me back 4. Well, that's different from 3. So my current run gets set back to what? 1 because it's a different number. Oh, it looks like if my roll or my current spin is actually the same as the previous run, right? I add 1 to what? To the current run. Does that make a little sense? Okay. So now when I spin for it, now I get reset. The current run says 1 time. It spins and it says 3. Well, that's a different number. So my run gets reset to 1 again because I'm starting a new run. So it looks like this game is really based off, or this idea is based off of spinning something and getting the same number and keeping track of how many times I get the same number in succession, okay? So current run is 1 after I roll the 3. Then I spin again, I get a 1. Oh, I spin and get a 1 again. Oh, I spin and get a 1 again. What's going to be my current run? Is going to be 3 because I got 3 the same values in a row, consecutive. Make sense? All right. So it says write the whole game spinner class. So our implementation has to account for all of this stuff. Make sense? I'm just going to start typing it in. Do we understand it enough to at least start putting the framework together? Let's put some of the framework together. I'm going to do it right here on screen, just like you all would have to do. Class. What is the name of the class, y'all? Yep, I should know this much right now. And I know that I'm going to do a 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure you don't use the tab key. Use the space bar if you're typing it in here. I'm going to say public game spinner. And I know it takes in what? An integer. I'm going to just call it X. Okay? What am I going to do with that X? I'm going to keep it I'm going to store that into something that's going to be called, what did we say? Let's scroll back and look. I'm going to name it what? Sectors. Make sense? It says that tells me how many sectors I have. So that means I need to have what? Come on, y'all talk with me. I need to also have what here? This editor sucks. I said that on the recording, but it's true. So just get used to it because I think this is the way y'all are going to do it. Okay, private int, and we call it what? Sectors. And now down in the constructor, you're telling me how many what? Sectors I have, and I'm just going to assign that value X to sectors. Is this large enough for you all to see easily? I'm going to make sure I use good proper spacing and indentation here. Okay? So, without getting too deep right now, is it clear that we have 2 additional methods? Spin, that gives me back an integer, and current run, that gives me back an integer, right? So, I'll worry about the implementation later. I'll say public int spin takes in no parameters. And then I'm going to have another method here named what? Public int current, was it current run? Is that the name of the function? Yes, current run. Why did Duncan select this problem? Because it hopefully forces y'all to do a little problem solving here. Okay? So based on, if we go back up to the examples, I'm going to come back to the code. If we look at the example, the current run, everybody see that when you get the current run, if you haven't done anything, you should have 0, right? So does everybody see that I need to keep track of the current run? This is something that needs to be stored in the class. So I need another private variable here. And I'm going to say private int current run. All right, current run the variable is different from current run the function because the function actually has what parentheses on it. Okay, so I need to do what in my constructor? Initialize current run as well. And it tells us in the definition up here, it tells us explicitly. I kind of really like this part about the problem. It says current run is initially what? 0. So that tells us exactly what to put right here. This needs to say what? Current run is equal to what? 0. When I initialize these variables, it starts off at 0. We doing okay so far? So now the spin is going to, when we spin it, it's going to tell us which one of these sectors it actually selected. Yes? It's a random function. We ready? Hey, you guys that are in the overflow, I've actually written this on the board from just yesterday. So I'm not going to, you can't see that. So just pay attention as we type it up. This is really straightforward. This is a one-line function at this point. I hope. I'm going to take the integer values only, right? And I'm going to do a math.random. And I'm going to multiply that. What's the high value here? What's the highest value that could possibly be returned? You don't use the data from the example. What do we do it for? It's stored in what value? Sectors. So, if I have 10 sectors, you telling me I could get 10? Yep, that's right. We're going to start at sector 1, and we're going to go to sector however many they are. Make sense, y'all? Okay, so the high value is sectors. What's the low value here? 1. Does that make sense? And then I need to add 1 because of the math.random function does not include that value. So this is really just math.random times what? Sectors. Does that make sense? I'm not going to simplify it right now. And now we need to, this is the size of the range. So if we have 10 minus 0, if we have 10 sectors, that's how large our range is. And now we need to shift that range left to right so that our initial value is not 0. Does everybody see that math.random can be 0, so that the smallest that this could be is 0? But in the example, what's the smallest number we can have? Is 1. So we need to add 1 to make sure that if math.random gives me back 0, which is the smallest value, that it actually returns the value 1. So we always shift plus the value, plus the low value. I'm going to put the formula here just so that, you know, my dudes over there, Jack and Kalen, / is what? The integer value, the int value, math.random times the high value minus the low value plus 1.
Would that extra plus 1 be in the parentheses or would that be inside?
It needs to be inside of the parentheses.
No, like the plus the low at the very end.
Yes, I'm doing this for clarity's sake, but I'm sorry, not 1, but plus the what? The low value. Does that help explain? Because 1 is up there 3 times, but it really is plus 1, right, to include the largest integer there. But 1 is also the low value. So that's why I'm just giving you the comment. Make sense? Does that answer your question, brother?
My question was, up on the board, you don't have the final parentheses and closes and that, random. So I was
Yeah,
wondering
so
if you
on the
wanted-
board, I should have extra parentheses right here.
I was just wondering if one was.
Yeah, man, just little. Geniuses make problems like that. Thank you. We got a human computer compiler. Does that make sense how spin works? Okay? The current run. So let's think about this. Here's our problem solving. How do we keep track of the current run? We know that right now initially it's 0. Current run is just going to do what? I'm just saying. Right? Current run just returns the current run, right? Hey, you rolled whatever number you just, spun. You did it 4 times in a row, so 5 times in a row, 0 or 1 time in a row. Make sense? So, y'all hang in there. I'm almost done. When do we update the current run, y'all?
Spin.
Hmm?
When you spin.
When I spin. So the spin creates a random number. And what do I do with that random number? I need to check it against whatever the previous run was. Does everybody get that? Hey, this is important. What is this telling you? How do I keep track of the previous run? Or the previous number that was rolled or spun?
Private data.
My man, does everybody see that I need to add probably a new private variable here? And I'm going to say private int. What do we want to call this?
Previous run.
Previous spin. Let's call it previous spin, right? And we need to initialize previous spin in the constructor, and the previous spin is equal to 0. And this says what? So whenever I what? I do a spin, right? My previous spin needs to be compared to spin. Does that make sense? So watch this. I got to modify this code a little bit. And I need to actually check this when I spin first. So I'm going to say int random, okay, is equal to that same value. Okay? So I captured my random value. I know that initially my previous spin was 0, yes? So I need to ask what question here without me typing. Is one if statement away from being done?
If random equals spin or previous spin.
If random is equal to previous run. If that's true, what do I want to do? Say it loud. Add 1 to the current run.
It says previous spin.
Hey, I'm going to save some space here. Make this easier. So Grace, you probably couldn't hear because she got on the mask. She's practicing all those good things. She said, now you're gonna say current run plus plus. That's what she said. I think that's what you said, right? She said add 1 to the what? Current run. Yes? We need to do something else too. Are y'all with me here? I can't do just one statement here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to return that random number. Yep. But I need to do something else here too. Go ahead. Somebody say it. I hear somebody thinking out loud. An else statement? Okay. Well, let's finish the if statement. If this is true, we're going to add 1 to current run. And this is comparing the random value which we just created, yes? And the previous run. What is in the previous run? So the first time we go through this, previous one is 0. It's going to be false, right? We'll just return the random number. Yes.
Isn't it previous spin?
Previous, not run, but previous spin. This happens all the time. Good variable names are useful. If the random number is equal to the previous spin, we'll add 1. Yep. Somebody said that we need an else. So what does the else statement do? I want you all to figure this out. I don't want to just type it up right now. Y'all can see the solution. Somebody understands it, just doesn't know how to write it.
I think else would be current run equals 1.
What has to happen if you spin and the spin is not the same?
Current run equals 0.
She said current run is going to be equal to 0. What else?
I think in the example it had where you have a new one, it starts with 1, not 0. But in the example it had when you get a new number, it starts with 1 and not 0.
Okay. You hear that, Grace? He said that whenever you start a new run, you don't start at 0, you start at 1. Like it.
Would it be current spin or current run?
Oh, damn it. So her question is current spin or current run. So I'm keeping track of the current run, and I'm adding 1 to the current run if the random is equal to the previous spin, and if it's not, I'm setting it back to 1. That looks good. So but I'm comparing my random number, right? That's going to be my random number. Well, I'm comparing it to previous spin. Does previous spin ever get updated? So the first time we spin this thing it's going to be false, yes?
Correct.
So if it's false, my current run is going to get the 1.
You need to make random previous spin afterwards.
Or you need not random previous spin, but previous spin needs to be equal to what? Random, right? Does everybody see that? So whatever I rolled in, whatever I spin, whatever that value is, if it's not equal to the previous spin, which it won't be the first time around, I'm going to do what? I'll put the random value in the previous spin, and I'll reset the what? The current run to 1. Everybody get that? And then the next time through, if I spin and that number is equal to previous spin, I won't update previous spin, it'll stay the same. And I'll just add 1 to current run like Grace said. Does that make sense? Y'all like that? Hello? And now the last thing I need to do is return what value? Because this is spin.
Current random.
Does everybody get that? I'm going to make this a little smaller just to get a little bit more on the screen, hopefully. Is that too small? Are we done here? I think we're done here for the spin method. Do we have more to write? Yep. Nope. We're good. Is this all the problem solution? Then we need to go back and we can double check real quickly by looking at the problem statement one last time. Okay? So, what happens when we say game spinner of 4 now? We initialize what? 3 variables. Sectors is going to be 4. Current run is going to be 0. The previous spin is 0. Are we good with that so far? So we spin. I'm sorry, it doesn't say spin. It says what? Current run. It says give me 0. Does our code give us that? Does our code, when we call current run after we construct this thing, give me 0? Yep. If I say spin, let's say it gave us 3. Does a spin give me a random number between 0 and 4? I'm sorry, between 1 and 4 inclusive. Yeah, it does. It returns a random number. And current run, did it update current run appropriately? Okay, so let's go check that out. We spun, it gave us 3 for random. Is 3 equal to 0? Nope. So we add 1 to current run. It becomes 1, yes? No, that's not what happened. I said false. I tricked you. Y'all just nodding. 3 is not equal to 0. So we'll go to the else and we'll say current run is 1 and my previous spin is 3 and we return 3. Make sense? So let's just walk through the examples and see if we account for each of these. So we spin again. It gives me 3 again. Okay, so when we spin, if this random is 3, is my previous spin already 3? And it's going to add 1 to current run. And then we'll return what? 3. Hey, we're looking pretty good. And we say current run. Did we add 1 to current run there? Yep, we sure did. So current run, since it was equal, we did what? We did an add 1 plus 1, yes? I like this solution so far. Y'all walk through the rest and y'all kind of verify that answer is correct. Okay? You should be able to quickly get through what? Current run is 1. We know it should work for the current run. So when we get to a current run of 4 or spin of 4, that's different. Let's check it for that. If random gives me 4, is 4 equal to 3? Nope. False. So current run goes to 1, and my previous spin becomes 4, and then I return 4. I like it. Does this make a little sense how we implemented that? If previous spin, you could name any of these variables, anything that you wanted. Are y'all following me here? So the last thing I want to show you, what you all can do, look at this. It says game spinner. Did we declare all the appropriate? I'm going to say, yeah, we did. Did we have the method header public int spin and public int current run? Do we have both of those? Plus 1. Do we have this header, game spinner, that takes in an integer? It can't be private. By default, it's public. Do we have that? Yeah, we got that. The constructor initializes instance variable for number of sectors using a parameter. Oh, we definitely did that. Instance variables for previous spin and length of current run initialize correctly when declared in constructor, or we did that too. I think that was the hardest, in my opinion. Y'all listen. This is the part that I think is really interesting about this problem, is that nowhere in the problem statement did they explicitly say you need to create a variable for previous spin and you need to create a variable for current run. But from reading the problem and reading and analyzing what was given, it was pretty obvious that was the only way to keep track of certain things. Do y'all see that? So this problem asks us to actually go up and add some additional what? Private members that are not explicitly stated in the problem. I'm just telling you, I think that is really, that part right there is a key point that I'd like to talk about. That's the problem solving involved, okay? Computes a random integer, 1 to the number of sectors. Yep, we did that. Compares a new spin and the last spin. Yep, we did that. Update the instance variable that represents the length of the current run appropriately if the new spin and the previous spin are the same. We definitely check for that. It updates the spin and length of the current run appropriately when they differ. So this is the if and the else right here in 7 and 8. And number 9 was just returning the current run. Does everybody see, if you didn't get the logic part here, if you didn't update and you didn't actually create all of the instance variables, you could still earn 4 to 7 points. Patience, grasshoppers. That's the problem for the day. Does everybody see how I want you all to use this rubric? You should read this rubric before you start looking at the solution after you've read it. And it kind of gives you a few hints here. And they're all fundamental things right here. Rather than me giving you a long list in your review sheet, you have to remember like a million things. Hey, that's what it's going to look like to me. That's what I'd like for you all to start reading and starting to figuring out. Does this make sense? Just because we've completed step tracker once before doesn't mean that you can just copy and paste it here. Let's walk through the process of what we just did today for all 5 problems before the end of next week, whether it be together or individually. Okay? Now, as you all, is there anything that I need to put up on the screen for anyone right now? Speak up. Did y'all all document this? So, this is what I am going to do right now. Y'all check this out. After this, y'all watch this. I can say manage live session. Y'all watch this. It looks like some of you all have logged in, some of you all have not. Okay? So, Jack didn't log in, Grace. I need one person, Christoph. And Blake, Kaylin, and Jack can't do this right now. So show them how you can log out of I can see that everybody's working on problem number 4. Christoph, go ahead and get out of my AP. Save your work. Make sure you click save.
How do you save your work?
Go down to the bottom of the page or something down there. There's a way you can save it.
You don't click submit, right?
Yeah, do not submit, just save. There should be a way to do save and not submit, right?
Or you click the X, you say save and exit.
Yeah, let's try and exit.
Just click the X and
We're going to give them some specific instructions. So it looks like Christoph has logged out. And he got back in. Do you still see your work from previous efforts? Huh?
I said it's loading.
Oh, it's loading. Slowly. Blake, you do the same thing. Get out.
yeah, I just got out and coming back in.
All right. So there's evidence that you all do have the ability to get out and come back to this. Don't do a what? Save and submit. Do not do that until you are finished.
Okay, yeah, it worked.
Okay? And you all should begin like right now. You got 20 multiple choice questions and you got 4 free response. And you know that when I come to class when we meet again, okay, I'll probably ask you all a status update. And let's say one of you all is stuck on a problem. That'll be the problem I work on. Does that help you out there, brother? Okay. All right. So Kaylin, Jack, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stop recording the screen, and I want you all to go ahead and make sure that you all can get into the lockdown browser, okay, and give it a shot, okay. And what I'll do is I'm gonna save the code that I actually wrote today in JGrasp. so that anybody who wants to actually kind of come back to this code, I will have the notes. Okay, I'll have them for you right here. So, file new. This is for Jack and Kaylin specifically. But class game spinner. If y'all want to see this neatly and eloquently done in the in JGrasp, I'm doing this for the students that are in the overflow, and for one additional student who has a excused absence for today. So I'm just documenting again what we just did. Okay, so we initialize sectors to the input value X there parameter. Current run defaults to 0. The previous run is initialized to 0. A previous spin is initialized to 0. Public int spin. Oh, it's going to generate a random number for me here. Okay. So I've given you the formula here, and then I've executed that hopefully clearly. And then I'm using an if statement here to check to see if my random value is equal to my previous spin. It should be false for the first run every time. Okay? Because my previous spin is actually what? The value of 0. It should never be 0 after the first after the first spin. Else current spin. So the current spin gets initialized to 1. The previous spin gets to the random value. That's an update only if what? They are not equal, or the current run is not equal to the random value. Okay, and then I return that random value there. Okay, and the second function, current run, doesn't really have to do anything other than access the what? The private value here for current run. All of the updates to current run are actually done in the spin method. And I'll just put a little comment here. End of class. So let's assume that, this looks good. And if it were next week, I might actually say file new, say new Java, and I may ask you to do this. Class game spinner runner. How many sectors for our new game spinner here? 10. I'm going to double down. That's called double down. 10. 10, right? You know what? I don't need to do that. Somebody said 5, so I'm going to use your number. So what's cool here is that now you can actually determine how many sectors, and they have to be the same as what you see in the problem. All right? So we have a new game spinner. I should be able to say GS dot what? Spin. That's going to return an integer, yes? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a system.out.println. And I'm just make sure that gives me back an integer. It better be in that range of 1 to 5, right? How many times y'all want to spin? Hello?
Twice.
You want to spin twice?
3 times.
3 times. And then we're going to say what? What was it? Current run. That's the other function, right? Yeah? That make sense? So I'm just gonna go back up after each spin. Just so I don't screw it up, right? I can verify if I do get the same number, right? Oh, shucks. Make a little sense? So I want to keep spinning and getting the current run. And I want to do that at least enough times to make sure that hopefully I can find an example. Okay? It's just going to be a bunch of numbers here, right? Hey, y'all, yeah, just check it out. I'm just going to make it nice and neat. Spin is equal to double quote. And then I'll just put in there something like that. And now my output looks a little bit better. Current run. Oh, I like that a lot better. So y'all see what I'm doing? I'm just creating some test cases, and I'm just trying to create something that verifies that my code works as expected. I may ask you all to do, this is what you all are probably going to end up doing on the exam day next week. Boom.
Is the exam day on paper or is it on computer?
It'll probably be on the computer, man.
Okay.
So I've done enough. How many? My number is 5, right? Let's hope we get 2 of them in a row right here. This is not period 1. Did y'all see the problem that period 1 did? Oh, this is not right. File, save as. The name of the file needs to be the same as the name. There you go, Game Spinner Runner. And now this one needs to be saved as what? File, save as. Game Spinner. Sorry. Save as string manip. Period 1. It still didn't get saved in the right place. But alright, so I'm gonna just hit compile here to see if it works. This is not normal for me to click compile and get no errors. Hey, I'm sorry, that's worth a quick timeout, y'all. I'm sorry, it's worth a quick timeout. Y'all are not just good students, y'all are good luck for me. How often does a program, I gotta test it. Let's see if it actually works. That is not usual. Y'all trying to make me cry. That's awesome. Hey, I am not that good of a programmer or something that I don't make mistakes when it comes to a computer. That worked the first time. Karma is thinking about us. Thank you, Karma. God bless.